Right on. Hey, Brian, how are you?
How are you?
Dude, I'm hanging in there. Hey, guys, this is Perry with the Rig Rundown, Isolation Edition. Today's guest is Brian Fallon. You know him from the Gaslight Anthem and his solo projects as well. I'm very excited you could do this. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. I'm always happy to play.
I know you've been a pretty busy dude during quarantine with songwriting, but also I just wanted to put this out there real quick because I think this is so cool. You've been handwriting lyrics in support of your crew members and band guys, right?
Whew, yeah. So that came up. Like that was an idea that I saw, kind of just like was thinking about doing, and then I was like, I don't know, I don't really know like if people would be interested in that, and it kind of came up like I guess on Twitter or something, and people were like apparently very interested. So I was thinking, how can I help, because I don't know, they don't have any other stream of like income. They don't have like royalties or whatever, So I was just like, they're not being able to do anything. So what if I write out some lyrics, and then, hopefully I can just I can get the money directly to them, which is great.
Right. That's killer, man. What a cool, not only thing to do, but awesome opportunity because, of course, with all, even unemployment right now, I think gig workers are having kind of the hardest time with all of this stuff. Proving income is insane. So good on you. I think that's super cool. Well, let's
thank you.
Let's jump right into it. First things first, I've always known you as a Tele guy. I've always seen you play Teles. And immediately something that jumps out at me is this neck and this fingerboard. What can you tell me about this?
Well, this is a master built Paul Waller rosewood Tele. It's all rosewood. It's super heavy. It's not killer heavy, but it's pretty heavy. But it's got the thing about it that's really unique is the neck was spec'd after like a broadcaster that I had.
Oh.
So it's a huge neck. Like it's got a V, and it's pretty big. Like it's above 1, so it's high up there. And then the radius goes from 7 1/4, and then it just like tapers up. So it's cool.
That's real cool. Did it take you any time to adjust to that neck?
No, because I only have one Tele with a like a slimmer neck, but it was even that one, it has an 11-inch radius, so it was like a special order that someone did, and I got it. But most of the necks that I have are very big, like
you like
very big.
You like a Louisville Slugger with some strings on it, huh?
Yeah. I like that V,
Yeah.
That V does it fits right in the crook of the hand.
Oh, love that. So, with it being all rosewood, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the whole thing's rosewood.
Do you notice anything tonally different from like another Tele that might be like ash or something?
Definitely. I
mean,
really? It's thicker for sure. Like this is like the Les Paul of Teles.
Yeah,
it's
I was gonna say
really, really thick. And you can kind of get like a beefier sound. It will be snappy if you want to. Like if you pull on the strings or you get that little snap. It's cool if you want it, but it's not gonna be as bright as like definitely not like a '60s Tele. No way.
Right.
So it's cool. It's a cool thing to have, and it's just like I'm a big George Harrison fan, so it's cool.
Yeah, that's great. From here, it seems like, obviously we're talking via Zoom, but it looks like it's black on black on black. That is just so cool, man.
No, it's actually like brown.
Is it?
It's pretty brown. I mean, I've got better pictures. I'll send you.
We'll show you guys some B-roll so you can take a look at it. But that is so
like
pretty.
The wood grain in it. Everything's in there. You can kind of see like all the wood in there, and it's cool. So it's got a black pickguard, and the neck and the body are both like really dark brown.
Yeah, that is so cool. It's just it's almost shocking because it's an unusual look for a Telecaster.
Yeah.
Especially with the headstock.
It's a weird thing. Yeah.
It's so cool. So this is this your one of the newer ones to your collection?
Yeah, this is actually I just got this back from Paul. I ordered it a while ago, last year sometime, and he had finished it, I guess, like right before everything was shut down. So I was like the last guitar out, which I was really happy about. I was just like, oh man. And he was just so cool, like doing it. He was interested as soon as we started talking, and he was just like, I want to do this. Like, what do you want and everything. And I'd never ordered a guitar like custom like that, so it was pretty cool.
That is really, really cool, man.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Hey, well, before we jump to another guitar, just out of curiosity, could you maybe switch through the pickup selector just so we can maybe hear the difference tonally?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So like the neck, it's got a set of twisted Tele pickups in it. That's what Paul decided was sounded best, so we always trust him. But the neck pickup's pretty warm. It's like got this kind of like that kind of thing, and then yeah, right.
Yeah, that's like it's almost like 335 territory. It's so warm.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing about it. It like does that like exactly. It does like a 335, but it's like it's a Tele, which makes it even cooler.
How
for
cool!
Me.
Yeah, I did not exactly expect that. That is so cool.
No, and then the middle is cool too. Well, it's also that the twisted Tele set, like the neck is really close to a Strat. Like you can almost get there's like this Frusciante thing, like that. It's nice. It's cool. It's like a good neck pickup, and then the middle kind of does like does the middle thing really cool, like the.
Yeah,
like it's cool.
I've always loved the middle position on a Tele because it does that Americana thing where it's like not quite clean but not dirty either. It kind of does that perfect rock sound. Yeah,
it's good for that like. Like it kind of does everything. I feel like it's the position for a Tele, like the middle. Like I think I record most parts like with that if I can get away with it.
Yeah,
and then like the bridge is just like for stinging stuff like.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty bitey.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little darker, but it sounds like a Tele in that position.
Yeah,
yeah. Way
it's
cool.
It's not wildly like. I don't like them to be like wildly different because I'm not really like a shredder or anything like that, and I kind of just play like in the song and try to swirl things around, and like when I get down to it, like I don't want it to be like incredibly bright. I also play through Deluxe Reverb most of the time, so it's pretty bright amp, or like a Vox, like an AC-15 or 30, and they're pretty bright. So if I can tame it down, a lot of the times I have the tone rolled off.
Yeah, especially with an AC-30, it's almost a necessity when you're playing a Tele in a bridge position. It can get a little ice picky on you.
For sure, yeah. But that's one thing I did was like I went to electronics school when I was right out of high school. So I got into all this stuff, and I kind of like I do my own amps. So like I can work on them and take if there's like something in the amp that's like too ice picky, I know how to take it out.
Oh, how cool is that? Oh man! All right, we'll talk about that when we get to amps because I know that you've like completely rebuilt a couple. Amps.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
the one
awesome.
I'm playing out of right now.
Yeah,
I redid the whole thing.
That's funny. I mean, half the guys on the Rig Rundown are like you. They're like really, really nerdy and want to know what certain capacitors sound like what, and then some guys are like, I don't know, I play it.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to find a guy that really gets in there to the nitty gritty details for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, man, that's great. So when you start touring again and this opens all back up, is this going to be your number one?
Well, it's hard to say, probably, but I don't have I never had like a number one guitar. I always had just like, I always looked at them like, like that's the Phillips head, that's the flat head, that's the hammer, that's the scraper, and whatever you need to get the job done. I kind of always thought that they were like tools, but I don't know. I never got like married to one.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. It is a tool. Yeah, that makes sense.
I try to.
All right. Are you picky about your fret wire or the size of the frets or anything like that?
No, I try not to be. I think like even like with necks and stuff, like I have what I would prefer if I'm given the option, but like these frets are they're pretty big. They're not really like the small tiny ones, but I mean I don't play real hard, and I don't I've kind of. But I find that like having like limitations like that sort of limits what you can get and like what you could like. What if you're in a jam and you need to borrow somebody's guitar,
right? And
then they're like, oh, the fret wire's not right, and you're like, well, who cares?
Yeah,
just play the thing.
Figure it out. Yeah, totally.
I don't think that Robert Johnson's intonation was probably very good, on that guitar that he had. So I tried to just be like, well, yeah, whatever,
Yeah. I'll play it. Sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, and I'm not like the master of guitar playing either. Like, I mean, these guys like they shred, you know, and like these guys and girls that really can like really play. And like I'm still in lessons. Like I'm just still working here.
Dude, I'm with you. And then it's frustrating, you know. You can get as comfortable as you want on a guitar, and then there's always going to be some dude like Django Reinhardt that's doing it with 2 fingers better than you. So it's like,
right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like kind of that's the thing, you know. And if I can pick up tips here and there, you know, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's move on to another Tele. I know you've got a pretty awesome collection of Telecasters.
Yeah, I do. This is the one that the neck on the rosewood was modeled after. So this one has the exact same neck, V, everything. So Paul just copied it. So he was able to like, I got the dimensions for him and like, you know, had to like caliper measure it, and then he just copied it, and they feel identical.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy what they can do there. Like they can really, I mean, they should be able to, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm sure they have a Plek machine and all that stuff to be able to do it perfectly.
They do. I mean, it's unique, kind of like when you feel it, but the difference even between like this is a custom shop, but like the difference between this one and that one, you can feel it. Like totally feel that like one person built that guitar.
So what is it about the Telecaster that's always, you know, I think I've almost always seen you play Teles.
Yeah, I mean, I've played Les Pauls for a while, but like the thing about the Tele is that it like, well, the real reason in the beginning was that you couldn't break it.
Yeah.
So like on tour, I never had to worry about headstocks breaking off or like, you know, like I didn't have money for a road case when I first started touring. So like there, you know, now I got all these Carlton cases and everything, but like back in the day, like there was none of that. It was just like throwing it in like whatever case it came with and then throwing it on an airplane. And then you'd hope that like nothing happened. But I mean, like with a Tele, like anything that breaks, it was built to be just replaced. Any little part you can, you know, like I can replace every single piece on this guitar. So
yeah,
that's kind of the deal. It's cool.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a Tele with a broken headstock, and you know, outside of like a very, very crazy situation where you know,
sometimes people break the tuners up here, like up here, but I've never done that, you know, thank God. So it's been good to me. They've been good, and they, you know, I find that I can get them to work in any situation, you know, like you can if you're playing chords, if you're playing rhythm or lead or whatever. Like they seem to work in any style of music. Yeah,
and that pickup combination is so touch sensitive. Like if you really dig in, you get a whole nother beast. You know.
Totally. Yeah. It's a cool thing.
Yeah. So tell me the story on this one. What year is it? Is it a custom shop?
Yeah, this is a custom shop. This is like a couple years old, but it was this one, and there's a Strat that I have two where they were like brother and sister guitars where they were for like NAMM or whatever, and my friend owns a shop called Russo's Music, or he runs a shop called Russo's in Asbury, in New Jersey, and he had this one and the other one, and they were like, they both just sounded incredible, and I was like, I gotta get those two, and so I just had them and hung on to them, and they're like, I don't know, they have this like little plaque on them, and they came on their certificate and they're numbered, but these are like right next to each other, and they came from the same batch.
That's so cool.
I don't know. But they're both magic. They both sound super good. It's really dry, this one. So it's cool.
Yeah, I've noticed like a lot of times if you get a relic or if you just wear it down naturally, like the wear through the nitro and that wood can breathe, oh man, it really brings a guitar to life.
It does. It's like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it has like a dry sound. Like you could tell like the new ones and then the old ones have... like when they've been beat in, you know? Yeah.
I had this one of my best friends used to play in that band Love Drug, and he would do the weirdest thing, and he swore by it. When he would get a new Tele, he would like wherever there was belt rash, he would sand it down to natural wood and then take everything out of it and leave it on the oven of this pizza shop that was close to us in New York, and he would be like, "Hey, can I leave this body here on top of your pizza oven for a month?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And he'd put it back together and sound amazing.
That's awesome.
Every time. It was so weird. But
that's kind of like, I don't know, like I guess like they roast the guitars sometimes.
Yeah, and this was before like torification and all those like catchwords. He just I think he felt like, you know, really dry wood was a lot more resonant. So
Yeah, I mean, well, for sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do that with a neck though, because like,
No. He would. He just did it with the body.
I was like, hold on a second, did he do that with the neck? I'm like, frets would be popping out.
Oh man, it'd be terrible. Oh shit. So when you're playing live, are you changing tunings a ton or?
No. You know,
Never.
like it's so funny. Like I know that there's so much stuff that I could do easier with open tunings, but I just can't. I cannot be bothered. Like with it goes against the tool thing. Like I appreciate people that do it, and like, you know, the only time is like I was covering Romeo and Juliet from Dire Straits, and so like I would play the resonator. And I had to tune it to open G, but like honestly, like my guitar tech at the time was just changing the tuning in between the set, like on the same guitar, because like I just can't. First of all, I don't have enough guitars to be like keeping them in separate tunings, but like I just figure out whatever I need to play. I figure out a way to do it in the key that it's in the just standard tuning.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. There's nothing worse than like having one-off song on a set where you're in a totally different tuning, and then you're like halfway through the song before you realize you're freaking playing it wrong. It's happened to me so many times. Yeah, I've tried to get away from weird open tunings for that reason, you know.
It's I mean, some people are really great at it, and it's cool. I mean, I guess when you have like, you know, 10 guitars, it's cool. But I don't have 10, I have 4. So,
yeah.
You know, it's different. But like, you know, the middle 3 string, you can kind of, there's open G right there.
Yeah, I guess if you're careful enough with your right hand, you can totally pull that off anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
So does this have the Twisted Telly set as well?
No, so like that's the only one that has the Twisted Telly set. So like all my other ones, they have this one has a company called Righteous Sound. You know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of them, but I'm not familiar with their Telly set. Yeah.
Very, very small. It's my friend Josh's company, and it's a very, very like small company, but they make awesome pickups. And this one there's a set called the Sparrow, and they just like they're just like old broadcaster pickups, and they sound so good that like I don't know, they just work for me, like, so I love them.
Yeah, let's hear those bad boys.
Sure. This is the neck pickup.
Yeah, that's got a really nice sweetness to it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I look for. It's just like, you know, those are the kind of sounds that I like. Like I don't really like the super brash thing. So, you know, but it's cool. It's nice and round, and it's good. I mean, the middle position's got a cool like. You know, that's the middle, and then, you know, you got your neck. Like it does the thing, you know?
Yeah, man. That's a good sound in Telly for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. It just sort of like does the thing, you know? Like the thing that you want a Telly to do, that's what it does.
Do you know what the construction on this one is?
It's just like an old like 51 broadcaster kind of like remake or whatever. Yeah, like again though, huge neck, big V, like so.
I bet this one is considerably lighter than the last one.
This guitar weighs like 6 pounds, nothing. It weighs nothing. I could like, this is just like, you know, like weighs like what one of my kids' legs weighs.
Well, that's great. I mean, you're playing some long ass sets when you're playing, so I bet it's pretty nice to have.
It's good. Well, I'll tell you, like I had an injury for a while where the like your ulnar nerve or whatever in your, it goes from your neck down to your like your these two fingers, your ring finger and your pinky, and like it sort of gets trapped up in the elbow every once in a while. So like it's like what people get the thing caught in for carpal tunnel, but it's in the elbow. So what happens is like it just there's a channel where your nerve goes through, and it got caught, and so but it hurts, man, like really hurts, and your fingers kind of like start to go tingly a little bit, and it's funny. So it's not funny, but like playing like any other guitar at that time when that happened, like this was like my only guitar, because I couldn't pick up anything else on my shoulder, because it would be like so down, and it came from just constantly playing. Like I was playing acoustic. I did these 2 really long tours, and I was playing every single night, like just really like holding crazy position chords, and I don't know, I just trapped it in there. But like, you know, I had to go to like physical therapy and everything, but it got better, and now it's okay. But this was like a lifesaver during that.
Man, yeah, I was just gonna ask, did they have to do any kind of surgery to?
No, I got it taken out. I went to a physical therapist, and they did. It was actually, it's this place down the street, like a local place in Point Pleasant called Pinnacle, and they had an acupuncturist come in, and so like from my knees to my feet were covered in needles while they would work on my arm and my back, and they taught me all these things about your posture and sort of like using your body the way it's supposed to be used, and then your injury can heal, and also like keeping your wrist like very straight. So funny enough, I was talking to Corey Brandon about this one time, and he was like, I don't know what he was talking about. He said that about what I was saying, but I was telling him that I had to relearn to hold a bar chord. So like most people hold a bar chord with their thumb on the back like that, and like I had to learn to do it like this, no thumb. So like completely, like your wrist had to stay straight like this, like your arm had to stay completely straight. So I had to learn to pull back like this on the neck, so without bending the neck.
Right.
But my fingers got so, and this part of my hand got so strong that like it really, really helped everything else, because now I can move like freer with chords and hold them so you don't get like weird buzzes and stuff. But that was like a saving grace for me. It was like this position where your wrist is curled, that's like really, really bad in the end.
So is that something you have to actively think about when you're playing, or you've just practiced enough like that now to where it comes natural?
Well, now it comes natural. But like at the time when I first did it, and I was speaking to the physical therapist, and a guitar teacher actually, and when I was doing it, the first like week or so, I was like, I'll never play again. This is it. Like I can't, until this heals, I'm not going to play. And you feel like such like I don't know, it's like a sense of defeat because you have to start over. But then what happens is like, since you've been playing for a long time, after like a week or two, you figure it out, and then everything comes back. So you're just like, oh, and you speed through it. So it's a lot better.
Oh man, that's wild. Yeah, in my adult life, I find myself like, when I have to relearn something I learned incorrectly as a kid,
yeah,
it's I'd rather hit myself in the face with a hammer, dude. It's just like, oh God, this is annoying. It's so hard to do that, you know. So good on you. Kudos.
I mean, you have to do that. Like I think in everything you have to do that. Like I'm doing that with lessons now too. Like going back and learning all the theory I didn't know, and you know, and all that. Like I'm actually like sitting here working on triad shapes again. Like, I mean, I've done that, but now I'm doing it like for real, because I'm trying to figure out, you know, the relation to all the scales and where all the notes are on the neck and everything.
Right. So, and it's hard when you're a kid, when you first start playing, you kind of want to play stuff that you like, instead of sitting there playing pentatonic scales. And it's like, okay, can we just get to Slayer? I want to learn Rain and Blood. I don't want to like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's been a thing I've struggled with as an adult too. It's like, okay, I need to relearn a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, like for me, I just wanted to learn chords in the beginning. I was like, show me the chords so I can write songs. I don't want to hear anything about this, like this other stuff, you know?
Right.
So leave that to somebody else. And, you know, it did work for me. It worked out, so it was okay. But you know, but now I'm kind of wanting to like express different things and different melodies. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, this is good.
It's like becoming more fluent in a language that you speak, you know.
100%.
Yeah. So listen up, kids. If you're at home, you could totally make it by just playing some open chords.
Yeah, you don't have to be a shredder. You don't have to like do all the things. You could just kind of, you know, sometimes it's just like about playing the chords.
Yeah, totally.
Somebody's got to do it.
I love that. All right, well, let's take a look at another Tele. What else you got?
All right, I'll give you the. So this is the thinnest neck that I own. I'll show you this one. This one's cool. So I think my common thread with this one is Steve from the Hold Steady and I both love Faded Sonic Blue.
Me
and
too.
And this is like it's the best, you know.
Yeah. Is that like a mint pickguard?
Yeah, it's a mint pickguard on Faded Sonic Blue. So this is the one with the 11-inch radius. So the neck is super weird because like a Tele will either have 7 1/4 or 9 1/2, Maybe it'll go to 12 at sometimes. But this whole radius is a Gibson radius. It's 11. It's almost a Gibson radius. Yeah. So like you can bend like forever on this, which is awesome. So like it's like effortless bending. So you can kind of get like really like absurd things. Like up high, you can get and nothing pinches. Like it's no pinch. You know, like whereas like if you do that on like an old vintage Tele, it will fight you back
hard. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, like to just be able to do it. Not that I could do it. I'm not shredding up there, but like, you know, it's nice to play a chord up there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anybody really crank that was like a 2-octave bend. Like that's huge.
It's pretty wide. I mean, it's not like huge. It's pretty big. It was a big bend.
I mean, for something without a floating trem or something, that's really moving, you know, that's crazy. Oh, that's so cool. What is that neck made out of?
This is this is like a flamey kind of neck. It's really bizarre. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah.
But like there's like a flame going through the whole neck, and it's roasted. So I didn't really like, so the headstock is like kind of like a dark brown. It's like nice like coffee color. And then I think it's just a flamed maple neck that they I guess cooked in some way. Like maybe they put it on top of a pizza oven.
Maybe they did. Yeah, I've heard a lot of players are really, really into that style of neck, and a lot of people say it adds so much stability. I've never
That's
owned
what
one.
I've heard.
Yeah. I mean,
I've heard it makes them really stable.
Yeah, I could see it stiffening it up because there's not as much, you know, liquid in there or something. Maybe it just makes it a little sturdier. But man, that's a beautiful looking guitar.
It's nice. It's like it's a good guitar, and I like it a lot. So it's like one of the ones that I really enjoy.
How long have you had that bad boy?
I've had it for like a few months, not like terribly long, but I got it like right before the tour started, and then promptly ended.
Oh.
So I got to play it for one show. It was super cool.
I guess that's better than playing it for no shows, but still, that's
I guess.
God, what a bummer, man. So as far as strings and gauges, are you the same on all your Teles, or do you change it? Okay.
So yeah, always like all my guitars like for anything Les Paul Strat Tele, it's always I use the Ernie Ball 9.5, and that's like the gauge, because I used to use 10s, but like when I hurt my elbow, I had to go straight to 9s because I couldn't, like, I just didn't have the strength to bend it, and then I was like, well, these are pretty good, and I got so used to them that like I just said, all right, well, you know, like a 9.5 would be good, like a little bit heavier, but I'll go between 9 and that and 9.5, but you can find, like, you have to be careful with that, whereas like if you play it as hard as you do on a 10, like you'll bend notes out of tune.
Oh wow.
So like when you're playing, like if you use the same pressure, you know, like on a, like just if you're just playing like an E chord or something, and you're like, then like what'll happen is you'll end up bending it out of tune. So you just have to press really light. But that helped me with that injury.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to help with technique. You know, that touch is something.
Yeah,
that,
I mean, I'm getting there.
yeah, man. I mean, if you're like a punk kid, like that is not something you ever consider until you're an adult or start playing acoustic or something like that, to where, you know, like, oh, okay, there is a lot of nuance in your right hand.
That didn't come to me until about a year ago, like when my like I went, you know, I started taking lessons and stuff, and they were saying that, like, you know, when you're like hitting a string, you're like kind of like lightly touching it, and then all of a sudden you just like the note is like a feather touch, like you don't really have to like grab it, and that's something they explained to me. So it's something I had to like try to practice, but I'm still kind of in like the like infantile stages of like learning everything. So I've kind of like, you know, I'm just like still growing and like figuring everything out now. So like I don't have like I feel like I'm gonna come out of hiding one day and just be like
just bust out a slide and go crazy.
Yeah, but for now, like I'm kind of like keeping it like mega timid, because I don't really like know how to do all that crazy stuff. Like the dexterity is not there.
Well, in your situation, I mean, you're a songwriter, so I guess it's not necessary. You know, if you wrote a song that really required Yngwie Malmsteen or something on that, you could always hire a guy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I could. I think the idea is to like be able to just sort of express what I hear in my head, which a lot of it a lot of it I spent the time like doing on acoustic, like the finger picking and kind of like learning like the Travis style, and then like the thing like learning Romeo and Juliet from Dire Straits was like that was a big jump for me to like learn that, and that like raking with your hand, like like that kind of thing. It's like it's difficult.
Knopfler's crazy, man. I've like when I first got into like clean sounds like Strat and Tele and stuff like that, I really got into Dire Straits because that dude plays like almost every song that you learn from them will inspire something that you did not know about guitar. Like,
well, yeah. It's like little things. Like, I mean, he like even in the beginning, like when he's like stopping the guitar real quick, and like sometimes people like will do that. Like you'll kind of hear it and you'll think it's just like, but it's not. It's like there's little like, but there's pops and like little things, and it's so weird when you hear him like do it. That little like little, it's like country stuff almost.
Yeah, it's almost like a weird little palm mute.
Yeah, it's
but
both hands muting and yeah.
So rad. I love that stuff. So
I keep trying to get like my cool friends to like give me like real, like be like, show me some licks. I don't know any licks, like I got a typewriter. That's what I was spending my teenage years doing. I was writing words. I don't know anything about licks.
Oh man. All right. Well, those are some great guitars. Obviously you're home right now and in your studio, but when you're touring, you mentioned earlier, I've seen you with AC30s, maybe an AC15 before, a couple of different Fender amps, but you're really, really into tweaking amps and stuff too. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, what's your go-to, like what amp, if you were going to play a show tomorrow, what amp would you take?
Well, so like the one that I'm playing through here, it's a Deluxe Reverb that I've got an old one here, an old 66 that like is really cool, and I use it for recording, but I wanted to find something that sounded identical. And so I got the 64 hand wired from Fender, and it sounded really close. Like they were really, really close, and that's a great amp. Like it just does the thing. But like me being obsessive, like your average person would not care. They would just be like, okay, yeah, this sounds great, because it does. But I am like a scientist with this stuff, and I get weird with it. So basically, I decided that I would try every form of capacitor possible, and different resistors and like transformers, and I would sit there and swap out the transformers and tubes and everything. So I've literally like gutted this amp 3 or 4 times and rebuilt it again.
Oh man,
so it's wild.
Oh, when I was a kid, my grandfather was a ham radio operator, and he had like boxes and boxes and boxes of 12AX7s. So I remember like my first 5150, I would be like swapping them out and seeing what sounds good, not biasing the amp because I didn't know what I was doing. I can't believe I didn't kill myself or blow the damn thing up, but it's fun once you really kind of dive into that sort of stuff,
It's super cool. I mean, with the biasing thing, like as long as the tubes aren't glowing red hot, like cherry red, you're okay. I mean, the big thing about that is you want to get them to sound good, so you got to have like the current right with like the like it's just like a whole thing. Like you want them to be drawing proper current, and that like there's a window there, so that's you can swing a little.
So for us laymen's that don't know a ton about capacitors and those aspects of an amp, how big of a difference are the components from like a 64 to like something you would go buy off the shelves today? Obviously, a lot of newer amps have PC boards and stuff, but even the hand wired stuff has got to be a little bit different because you can't find those same parts, right?
Yeah, it is, but like sometimes they'll source out stuff. Fender's really good about it. Vox is really good about it. And they'll go like I know that with the like I have the little Stapleton Princeton, the brown panel one, and they got like the Schumacher transformers, and they like got Schumacher to like make them, and they did like the thing. So they really put some time into it, and they have these like molded caps now that are like paper and oil, or I don't know if they're paper and oil, but they're pretty good caps, and they like spent the time to like wire it right, and it does make a difference, but really it's the sum of the parts. So it's not like if some people will say like, oh, you got to try Zozo caps or Jupiter caps or Mallory or whatever, but it's not like a specific. They all sound different, but it's not wild changes. Like you're gonna find wild changes in speakers and in output transformers. That's where you're gonna get really like this amp sounds a lot closer to a vintage amp with those two changes.
Right. Yeah, like I think we actually touched on this the other day when we were talking on the phone, but output transformers, I guess, obviously they make a big tonal difference, but what is that difference? Is it like because of, like, you know, why is a Mercury Magnetics transformer so much different than one that might come in, you know, a stock reissue Princeton?
Well, I think it's a matter of like expense. Like if you're gonna to order like I don't know, thousands of Mercury Magnetics transformers, like they're made by like they're still a relatively small company, and I think they might be made by hand. I don't know, but like especially with Mercury Magnetics or like Habor or there's a company called Classic Tone, and like as far as I know, there's maybe like 10 people working there. You know, so these are like really they're more expensive. They can't do like bulk discounts quite as well. I don't really know if that's the deal. But it would seem to me that if I was a company making thousands of amps, I would probably not want to pay, you know, $200 per output transformer.
Sure, especially if it's not like a custom shop or a custom order or something like that.
Yeah. But that is the biggest difference. Like it will wildly change an amp. And
yeah, and the average dude going to Guitar Center to buy an amp probably doesn't have an extra $500 for a really killer output transformer, you know?
No, I think that you'd have to tack on such an amount of price, especially for a hand-wired amp. When they're paying people to sit there and wire it by hand, that's a lot of time, you know? Right. Like, it takes me, like, if I was going to build an amp from scratch, it would take me solid 4 days to do it.
Right. Wow.
Just to make sure everything's right. You know, if I'm going to, like, breeze through it, you could do it in 24 hours, but you probably end up with some lung infection from all the solder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that.
You don't want that.
No.
It's really hard to find masks right now, so just take your time.
Yeah, so chill on the soldering, you know, take your time.
So I think that's pretty interesting. So if you had to build an amp from scratch, could you do that?
Yeah, 100%. I've done it before. The amp that I used on the 59 sound, I built from scratch, like totally. I mean, I bought like the cabinet.
Sure.
I didn't do the woodworking. So I like sourced all the parts, but like I built the thing like 100% from nothing to a working amp.
Color me impressed. That is awesome. That is really, really cool.
I will say though that doesn't mean that sometimes I'll mess with my own amps, but like I'll still order amps from people that are builders. Like I just put in an order for one of those Milkman Creamer amps because they're so sick, and
they're
like
so sick.
He's figured out how to do. This is gonna sound like total nerd talk, but he's figured out how to cathode bias a circuit for like the like between like kind of like the brown panel Fenders and still make the tremolo work, which is like from a builder's point of view blows my mind because whatever, because tremolo involves the bias of the tube and whatever, and it doesn't work when you do it. When I do it, it doesn't work, but when Tim does it works great.
Man, Tim is a trip. You know, we cover NAMM, and every single year when he's, you know, at his booth, that's one of the things that everyone is just like falling over themselves for. Like, I think the first time I heard a solid state amp that I liked was one of his, and I was like, whoa, why does this sound so freaking good?
Because he's sick. Let me show you something. So I took a little bit of so like normally a Deluxe Reverb has a certain kind of tremolo. It's got like a little light bulb in there and whatever, and it sounds like a 60s Fender. So what I did in this, the 64 hand wire that I kind of redid, I used the old style like brown panel tremolo. Thanks to a bunch of people, there's a guy whose screen name is Slucky on the Hoffman Amplifiers forum, and he has a great layout for this. So I copied it and used it in this amp. But check this out. So watch, I'll show you. This sounds pretty awesome. So you get like this deep, like pulsating tremolo, and this is sort of what Tim does, but he does it in a whole cooler way. But check this out. It's like it sounds pretty good. Like it's really deep. It's not like a. And if you know, that's like with it on one. That's the tremolo on one. So if you get it, you know, you can get like things like you can crank the speed up and really like get the intensity going to get like. Like it's deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of the thing that's like exciting about like working on amps and things. Like you can have different elements. So instead of just having like, okay, I'm stuck with the like 60s Fender era like tremolo, you're not. You can change it if you want.
Oh man, that is so wild. That's some real
awesome.
dorky shit. I love it.
I love it though. It's good. And don't be afraid to tweak those little parts, you know? I mean, don't get electrocuted. You have to that's the first thing. You got to learn how to discharge those caps. But if you but yeah, like I'll sit there and mess with like little tiny resistors that I think do like small things, but when they're all put together, they create a whole sound and like they all work together. So all the parts count.
When you're playing live, are you relying on one amp or are you blending several?
Well, I used to blend them for a while, and then I have this like terrible fear of getting electrocuted. Like I've gotten electrocuted twice, and it's not one time is because I was wiring an amp, and I had the transformer taps hanging out, and I hadn't wired them yet. But what I didn't realize is I was testing some voltage in it, and the doorbell rang, and I literally was like, okay, cool, it's fine, it's in my shop. I walked by it, but as I walked by it, the tip of my finger just brushed a wire, and dude, I'm telling you, it like kicked me off my feet.
Yeah.
It's for real. Like it's not. I thought I was gonna go to the hospital. I was like, my heart stopped. I know it did, but it's crazy.
About 8 years ago, I got struck by lightning, and it is not fun at all.
That's not fun.
No,
that's amazing that you're here though.
I know. I got really, really lucky. Thank God I was wearing sneakers because it blew me right. It blew me right out of my shoes. You know, and I had no idea what happened. I thought somebody had shot me because it's like the loudest noise you can possibly imagine, and it's like the brightest white light. It was like, okay, here I'm coming, Jesus. Like that's the end of that. You know,
that's it.
I was really disoriented for a couple of days, and it was weird.
But that's awesome now. Like now that you're okay, it's awesome.
It's a cool story. I hope that never happens again because it sucked. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
No, it's bad. It is bad. I mean, like, it's not a fun thing.
Electricity is no joke, kids. If you are gonna go mess around with those caps, please be careful.
Yeah, get yourself some good education on how not to electrocute yourself.
For sure. All right, cool. So it sounds like you like using effects from an amp like trem and verb and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you a pedal guy? Are you into modulation effects?
I am. Yeah, but I don't like live. I have the smallest pedal board ever, and it's just like one of those like nano pedal boards.
Yeah, it fits like 5 pedals.
Yeah, I've got 3 and a tuner on it. The one thing that I use a lot is I use a full tone solid state Echoplex. Like I use that a lot. So sometimes that's just running because of the preamp and it just sounds super good.
Right.
But yeah, I do. I'm like a pedal nerd. Like I got a lot of pedals. I got cool stuff, and my main overdrive that I've used for years is the Analog Man King of Tone. Like I've tried so many other pedals, and I've had Klons, and I've got a vintage Tube Screamer here. Like I've got all this stuff, and I can't find one that I like better.
Yeah, it's funny how often I see the King of Tone on people's boards.
Dude, it's like the best.
It's the one, man, and it just does that thing, especially with a Tele. I find like the King of Tone with a Tele kind of tames that harshness, but gives you that rock and roll that thing, man. It's just great. Those are awesome. You can make your Tele sound like a junior if you want, you know, which is really cool. So like I don't know, and I know Mike and from Analog Man, and he's such a like soft spoken, like humble guy, and he just loves like the art of finding things. So like I anytime like I need something, like I needed a fuzz for something, and I was just like, hey Mike, what do you got? And he's like, you got to get a sun face, you know, like you could roll the volume back and get like a Dwayne Allman thing, and it's cool. And then like I've just kind of stuck with him. Like I have his chorus and like the compressors that his wife built when, you know, like when she was with us, and you know, that's really what I go to. But I also I use a lot of the full tone stuff too. So that's been like because my first ever like nerd purchase was when I was 25 years old, and I remember the OCD came out, and I was like,
I was like, it sounds so much better than this, like, blues driver or whatever that I had, which was great. But I was so enamored. I remember like ordering it online, like on dial-up AOL, and just waiting. Like, dude, I waited like 5 or 6 months for this pedal to come out. And when I got it, it was like, I remember like holding this pedal being like, this is the thing. Like, this is awesome. And I still have an OG, like, first edition OCD, and I love it. Like, so cool. Whenever I use a Strat, I use a full drive. Like, no matter what. Whenever the Strat goes on, full drive's on.
Boom. Oh, man. Yeah, that's another one I see on boards all the time, that OCD. Once in a while you'll see a clone, and I've, Jason Isbell let me A/B a couple of drives, even a couple of different clones. They're all their own thing, man. I mean, they all have their own voice. They are. Like,
there's like the... let me grab you this for a second. I'll show you this. This is a cool one. Yeah, well, one thing... So, now, okay, so you just mentioned Jason Isbell and his clone thing. So, there are very few people... Because So, I will confess to you that because I'm such a nerd, and I've gone to school and stuff like that for electronics... there are times where I can be snobby. I'm trying to not be, because what ends up happening is you end up limiting yourself. I will tell you this. One person that I will listen to is Jason. So, because he has had consistent, like, really consistent guitar tone, and obviously his playing is incredible, but, like, the tone that he's got, it's unique, and that is a person. There are like probably 20 people that if they say something, like, even if I disagree, I just go, okay, and I listen to it. But I think all pedal nerds are snobby in some way.
I think that's just part of the territory.
Yeah, like my friend Blake from the Tone Mob, he like is always arguing with me about putting like a humbucker in a Tele neck pickup, and I'm like, listen, man, like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. It's not a thing. It's sacrilegious. It's a mustache on the Mona Lisa. So, but what I have found, this is the only like clone that I've got left-ish thing, and it's not really. It's a Wildwood Guitars.
Oh yeah, Mythos. The Wildwood and Mythos combo, right? Yeah. So I've heard about this, but I haven't heard it.
It's awesome. Like, Wildwood Guitars, they've always been so good to me, but like this pedal, it just like it does the clone thing. Like, it really does. Like, it does, like, the cool... It's not exactly, but it does the clone thing. And honestly, I think it was, like, $150 or something. And, dude, last time I bought a clone, I put it up on Reverb the next day. And, like, Chicago Music Exchange bought it from me for, like, a crazy amount of money. And I was just like, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm like, you can have it.
Even when talking to Jason about it, he's like... we were listening to several different ones, and he's like, man, there might be... 5-6% difference, the audible difference, but by the time you're going through an amp, you're going through speakers, you're going through a PA, and then you're dealing with a room, no one in their right mind is going to be able to tell that difference,
That's the real deal. When you're sitting home, like when you're asking even about like capacitors and stuff, when you're sitting at home and I'm like this, everything is naked. The second that you go to a recording session or you go on live, dude, it doesn't matter if you're playing a blues driver or like an OD1 or the best clone in the world. The listener is not knowing it. It's about your feel. Like, you get a different feel, but it sort of stops mattering at a certain point.
Yeah.
I
think, I'm with you on that. And like he said, he was like, well, I have the money to buy it, so why not? But I wouldn't otherwise go out and drop $3,000 on something that I can get close enough for $150,
Yeah, but I think he seems like one of those people who probably can hear that like 3% difference. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you if I put my, like, I think that my 64 that I built sounds like incredible, but I bet you that he's someone with ears enough that could tell the difference between the old 66 here and that one.
Yeah, that dude is always his ear is unbelievable. Like, he's one of those guys. It's like. He knows more about that shit than any. I mean, he is a dork. He's like you with the amps, man. He gets way down on in there. It's like, oh wow, like I got a lot to learn.
Well, for sure. I mean, yeah, and he was working with Dave Cobb and all that. Like, he's crazy ears. You know what I mean? Like, but That's like good. Well, okay, so like one time I was watching the I think I think you were doing something with Dave in the studio, and he was talking about Tweed Champs and like how he never turns them past 3 or 4.
Right.
And like sure enough, like my little Tweed Champ that I have, I was like, yeah, that's probably where it does sound actually really good. So
yeah, it's like that's the sweet spot for that amp.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I've been struck by lightning. I'm missing so much hearing. So like those microphonic differences and stuff, like, you know, guys like JD Simo says he can hear the microphonic differences between 12 AX7s, and it's like, you know, my ears don't do that anymore. I just need it loud.
incredible guitar player.
He's amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah, and how he can still hear those differences while playing like a Marshall full stack 100 watts. It's like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things, you know. Like, but these are players that are like insane. Like, do you know Molly Tuttle?
Oh yeah, God, she's good.
Yeah, so I don't know her personally, but like I saw her play on this thing that I was doing like the other day, and she was on like playing, and she was like the bluegrass finger picking. I was like, this is mind blowing, like how good it is, and like when you get to that level of expertise, your ear has got to be so dialed in. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's got to be what it is. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw her blew me away, man. She was doing this little in-store at Grimey's record shop here in Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville.
I was like, wow, dude, her control. You know, I love finger picking, and like it's something I'm really getting into, flat picking and stuff, but like watching someone like her do it, it's like, oh, okay, I should throw my guitars away now.
No, I mean, it makes you want to like find out. Like I told you, like I was taking like these online lessons. I did one with Julian Lage, and like, you know, he's mind blowing, like how good he is. But I didn't walk away like thinking like I'm gonna throw my guitar away. I kind of was like, maybe it was him, like the way he teaches, but I was like, I'm gonna like focus on these things and get better. Like that was like the big deal. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a good lesson should inspire you. That's a beautiful thing, man. You know.
It's cool. I love it.
Way cool. Well, Brian, I can't tell you how much fun I've had during this conversation. This is great.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You did a really good job of making it not so weird, considering we're in different places and I'm not hearing your amp and guitars like, you know, in person. But when you start touring again, definitely
absolutely,
we'll get after it for sure.
Let's do it.
All right, before I let you go, you have a solo record out this year, yeah?
Yeah, it's called Local Honey.
Yeah, that's right. So you guys check that out. Keep, I guess, stay tuned for when bands can tour again, and we'll just keep doing it like this.
And in the meantime, keep practicing.
Yeah, you got a lot of time to practice. There's no excuse, guys, myself included. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more rig rundowns, riff rundowns, video lessons, all that fun stuff. And we'll catch you next time. Later.